Let's try one more time because only a few people kind of understood what I was trying to do. We're in Chicago. The sun is shining. It's a beautiful day. So when I say good morning, you say, good morning. Oh, that's so much better. Now I believe that you're happy to be here. My name is Tina Baskin. I'm the Director of College Aid here at the University of Chicago. That is dealing with all of the financial aid for all of our undergraduate students that are here at the University of Chicago. So today we are going to present to you Financial Aid Matters. Myself, along with some of my colleagues, will be here to answer some additional questions at the end. Phyllis Franks over at the end right there, if you could just wave. She's a representative of the Bursar's office here, and she will present on the student accounting portion of the presentation. And then I just want to introduce to you a couple of the college aid colleagues here that will be also available to answer any questions that you might have at the end. Mr. Jaime Gonzalez, who is our Senior Assistant Director, and he works a lot with our first generation students. Then we have Miss Tiffany Morrison, who is an Assistant Director in our office, and she is currently coordinates our student work study and student employment in terms of our office. And then we have Andrew, and he is a counselor in our office, and he works with students every day. So you're in good hands in terms of getting any questions that you may have answered by the end of the day. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and get started. So in terms of our office, we are the Office of College Aid. We are located in the Walker Art Museum. It's 1115 East 58th Street. So when we talk about financial aid and how we kind of do this, how do we package students, how do we award them for financial aid, we have a mission in our office that we want to make attending the University of Chicago affordable and accessible. So one of the things that we were able to accomplish within the last year is our No Barriers program. And all of you should be very familiar with this program, as you all will be your students are the first entering class that will be entering under our No Barriers program. So I'm sure you know a lot about the program and what it entails, but we'll talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. We'll also talk a little bit about the aid award, how we do it, how we come up with it, what's going to be the future in terms of how the awards will be and the application process and things like that. And then we'll talk about if you have any special circumstances, what you can do if you have anything that comes up like that. So No Barriers. So most of you are familiar with our No Barriers program, yes? Yes? So the main thing when we were talking about our No Barriers program, again, as I mentioned, is that we wanted to make sure that attending a university such as the University of Chicago is accessible and affordable to all students, all walks of life. So it was important for us to kind of implement this type of program here at the University of Chicago. There were things that we were already trying to do in terms of awarding students that we were kind of touching on some of these things already, but the No Barriers program really actually helped us to kind of put it all together in terms of having a very good financial aid package for students. The first thing you may have remembered is there's no application fee to apply here if you indicated that your student would need financial aid assistance. And probably the biggest thing that would be a difference that you saw on your financial aid award offers was that we had no loan expectation. What that means is that we will not automatically award your students with federal student loans, and we will not expect you to borrow loans. We hope that students will be able to borrow or not borrow, but we hope that they will not have to borrow and incur any debt if they need financial assistance after they complete their time here at the University of Chicago. So instead of awarding loans, we replace what they would have been eligible with loans for with grant. And so that has made us definitely able to increase the amount of aid and grant money that students don't have to give back as a part of their award package. I do want to note, and I'll talk a little bit about student loans a little bit later in my part of the presentation, but even though it is not an expectation, students still are eligible to borrow. If they still can borrow a student Stafford loan if they are eligible. So just because we don't automatically award them, some students may still need assistance via the student loan, and if you've completed the FAFSA and if you have eligibility, you still can borrow a student Stafford loan. You would just need to contact our office and we can let you know about how to do that. The other things that are available through the No Barriers program is that there are funded opportunities. Many of you that have been admitted and have received financial aid may be what we call Odyssey Scholars. So many of you may not know, but we have an anonymous donor that has donated about $100 million to our university, and he wishes to remain anonymous, so we refer to him as Homer. But he had this program that we've had for quite a while, and that he didn't want students to be able to, he didn't want students to have to borrow loans. And so we kind of took it a step farther when we came up with the No Barriers program, is that students that were already Odyssey, or if you now qualify for Odyssey, that there are additional benefits just to the no loans, because now no one has a loan expectation. But if you also are an Odyssey scholarship, there's some additional benefits there, which could be if you elect not to use your own health insurance, you can use the university health insurance, and we will cover it with the Odyssey scholarship. If you're an Odyssey scholar that is interested in going on a study abroad, we will provide funding available for those students to assist them in going on their study abroad program. In addition, we have a program that will allow Odyssey scholars to be able to get their books a little bit faster. If they have more financial aid coming than what their charges allow, they would be able to get their books kind of upfront off of their financial aid without having to necessarily wait for a refund to purchase those books. So there's a lot of opportunities along with No Barriers that come just from being an Odyssey scholar as well. In addition to that, we have certain career advancement opportunities that are available through our career advancement office. So if you, again, are an Odyssey student, there is internship available and money available that you can use during the summer so that you would be able to get some type of work opportunities. So there's just a lot of things and a lot of opportunities that I'm very proud that we were able to kind of implement along with our No Barriers program, and I hope that you all have seen some of the benefits of that. So what happens next year? You've got your award package, you're here, everything seems to be going well. What does that mean for next year? I want to make sure that you all are aware that our awards, we have a commitment to make sure that our awards stay consistent. So in other words, we don't want to do a bait and switch. We haven't just got you in here with this great award package and thinking that next year your award package will look nothing like that. We have a commitment, and there's a lot of integrity in the award package that we package, that we have a commitment that each year we want to make sure that your awards are very consistent and they stay the same. There could be instances where there's a large change. Maybe you inherit $1 billion or something. We would probably expect you to give us something in that case. You wouldn't mind to pay if you had $1 billion, right? So I do want you to be aware that there could be circumstances based off of your income and things of that nature that may alter the award package. But again, we make every single effort that we possibly can to make sure that your awards stay consistent from year to year during your time here at the University of Chicago. So what will happen next year is that there'll be an institutional renewal application. You will, of course, also have to do the free application for federal student aid, or the FAFSA. And once you do that information, we'll start again, and then we will award you as we did this year. But it will be a little bit easier because you've got 1 year kind of under your belt in terms of how the process works. So it is not kind of as intense as it was last year. So that will be happening. You'll get notified emails from us in terms of when you should be submitting that information and things like that for next year. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Well, we send usually an email to the students. We usually send the email to the students letting them know. We usually don't send an email to the parent, but we can do that. So we usually send an email to the students to say, hey, it's that time of year. But we do still do a lot of communication with the parents throughout the year. So I'm telling you now in terms of when the FAFSA becomes available for the next year. It begins in January. And then somewhere probably around April or something like that, you should start to be getting ready to do the new application in terms of our institutional application. And we'll let you know the deadline to submit those materials is usually June 15th, somewhere around there. You can always submit it after, but you want to get it in as soon as possible so that we can package your students for the next year as soon as possible. I touched a little bit on study abroad, but I did in terms of from an Odyssey perspective in terms of the funding, but as those of you that are not Odyssey scholars, there are still opportunities for study abroad. We have a very good study abroad office with lots of different study abroad opportunities. So I would encourage you, if your student is interested in doing a study abroad program, to contact the study abroad office, which is in our Dean of Students office, and they can let you know different types of options and different kinds of programs. And we work with that office very carefully to try to fund students the best that we can. It's mostly covered. It's mostly covered. You should be able to get it covered probably 100%. But it depends on the study abroad program. Some of them vary a little bit. So if the cost, depending on the cost, it may not be 100%, but very close. It depends on the program. It depends on the program. No, you do not. So going forward, that's a very good question, and we'll get to questions at the end, but I'll answer this one last one before we proceed. You will not have to do the CSS profile anymore. So now that you're here, you're a no-barrier student, the only application that we'll ask you to do is the FAFSA and an institutional application that will still ask things like about your income and things like that. Yes, yes. You can do them as soon as they become available, yes. And you will get information about when those applications are available. I'm sorry? So there's going to be a change this year in terms of when the application is available. So I don't have an exact date of when that's going to be because there's a change in terms of the availability for that application. I would say probably just early spring right now. That could change, though. So I don't want to be pinned down to an exact date because that day may change. But you will get tons and tons of communication from us so that you're aware of that process and how to go forward with it. So I just want to go back very quickly. I talked a little bit about Stafford loans and students' ability if they would like to borrow Stafford loans. This is just a little bit of information if you're interested in terms of the interest rates right now with our federal direct loans. 4.2, a 9% interest rate, and an origination fee of 1.073. That's for the student Stafford loans that students are automatically eligible for, perhaps, depending on the other aid that they've been awarded if they've completed the FAFSA. Then there's the Parent Plus loan. This is something that you can take out if you need additional assistance. So if you don't have enough grant aid or enough right now to cover all of your charges with just university grant and scholarships, you do have an option if you'd like to look into borrowing the Parent Plus loan. Right now, the interest rate on that is 6.84%, and the origination fees are about 4.29%. Let me briefly go back before I get to the student employment. I did mention something about special circumstances, and so I do want you to be aware in terms of if you do have something that's happened, your circumstances aren't the same. So, you reported on your application that your income is at one level and then something's happened. There's been a loss of income, a loss of job, something like that has happened. On the reverse side, not just if there's an increase, but if there's a decrease as well, we are definitely committed to working with parents. So if you have something that's special that has come up, we definitely work with parents so that we can adjust the award package if applicable. Now I'll just talk briefly about student employment. Many of you may have gotten, if you receive financial aid, a federal work study award or else a student employment work award. I want to let you know that if you have a work study award, that award does not apply directly to what your charges are. That's an allotment of money to say this is how much you can earn if your child is going to obtain some type of work study job or student employment. If you receive work study, that means that you will get a job and that federal work study will pay a large portion of the wages that your student makes. If it's a student employment award, that means that you can just get a job on campus, but the funding does not come from federal work study. We have a very robust career advancement office on campus, and so we work very diligently with students to help them so that they can find meaningful work study and student employment positions on campus. So this is the website that's available for our students to be able to kind of find different positions if they've been awarded a work study award. And we do have, as I mentioned, Ms. Tiffany Morrison that is here that can take any questions if you have specific questions about kind of how that process works. But that webpage entails things like job postings, the authorization form if you have a work study, how the types of forms that you need, and all of those things so that if your student wants to do work study or student employment, this is a very good resource that you should be aware of so that you can get any of your questions answered that you need to. They also will be having a presentation specifically on student employment this Friday at noon in this building. So again, if your students have any questions or things specifically about student employment, they can definitely go to that presentation as well as go to the website. And so with that, I am going to turn it over to Phyllis to do the remainder of the presentation, and then I will come back at the end to facilitate any questions that we might have. Thanks.
Good morning and welcome to the University of Chicago. My name is Phyllis Franks and I'm here to represent the Office of the Bursar today. That's the billing office here at the University of Chicago. I just want to extend a very warm welcome to all of you, parents, other family members, friends from the entire Bursar's office. So what we do in terms of working with the Office of College Aid is that sometimes the work that we do overlaps. Although the College Aid Office is the one that you would contact to discuss eligibility for financial aid, our office is the one that you would contact to if you have questions about making sure that that financial aid is reflected on your bills. So that's what I want to talk to you about today, which is your student account. So every student that arrives on campus is given a student account, and that account is a lifelong one. And what it reflects are the charges and the credits on a quarterly basis. And eventually that becomes a cumulative record, which reflects every charge for tuition and related fees and any payments that your family makes. So, to go along with my welcome, I'd like to show you a picture of our building. And this is not located very far away. Unfortunately, the flowers are no longer there, but this is where you can find us. We're in the bookstore building on the 3rd floor, which is on Ellis Avenue and 58th Street. So what we want to do with you and with our students is partner to manage their student account. So I gave you a little bit of information about what that student account is. And some other services that we do as well are we bill you, and we also take your payments. We also bill third parties. Sometimes there might be some other type of agency, perhaps a governmental agency, something along those lines that might be paying a portion of your students' charges. So we can facilitate that process for you. In addition, sometimes students who are receiving financial aid may find that their payments from all sources, whether that be financial aid, third parties, that those exceed their charges. And in that case, they would have a surplus or an overpayment on their account. And we facilitate that refund to those students. So you might be wondering what direct charges are. Direct charges are listed on the PowerPoint. Essentially, they include all of the charges that were part of your financial aid package, with the exclusion of books, personal expenses, and travel. So what you will see, though, are tuition and fees, the student life fee, class fee, room and board, and health insurance. And now I know that health insurance is a big topic, and I just want to thank you again for being here, because I know that you have choices in terms of which session that you're attending, and there actually is a session going on right now about health insurance, and they would be the office to talk with you about eligibility criteria. Now, what we will do is bill you for health insurance if the waiver is not completed by the deadline, which you probably all know, of October 23rd. Now, if you did waive health insurance, then you don't have to pay that charge. Just keep that in mind. But if you have specific questions about your child's account, you can talk with me afterwards, or you're more than welcome to come to our office and speak with one of our tuition and billing staff later. Okay, so what resources are used to pay the direct charges? Well, that would be any payments that you've made, any financial aid, including loans like a Stafford loan or a Parent Plus loan, any other credits like 529 payments or outside scholarships, and those payments from third parties that I spoke about briefly earlier. So how much do you owe? How do you know how much you have to pay? Well, essentially, what you would do is you would take the total of all the direct charges, which again were listed previously: tuition, the required fees, room and board, health insurance if that's applicable, and then separately you have a total from all of your payments, whether that be financial aid or cash payments that you've already made, and you would take the difference, and that's the total due. And we bill quarterly because those are our terms. These are the due dates for the 3 quarters. You can also find on our website the mailing dates as well as the due dates. And that due date is also printed on the bill as well. So sometimes people would like to get their bills electronically, so I'm going to tell you that that's really what we encourage as well. We mail a paper bill at this time to the student's permanent address. We can also send you those bills electronically. And the way that that works is the student would enroll first, and then they authorize up to 2 other payers. Now, payers can sound a little misleading because although you have the option to pay along with enrollment and e-bill, that's just an option. It's not a requirement. So electronic billing will prevent delays with mail and the bill getting lost or just any delays along those lines. And the way that you're notified of a new e-bill is by email. So each of the 2 secondary payers, along with the student, receive an email saying you have a new bill available online, and you can access that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And we strongly encourage that you consider enrolling in that service because it's really the way of the future. As far as making payment options, we have several different payment options. One of them, as I spoke about briefly with e-bill, you can store your banking information on that service tool, and you would still have to initiate a payment. It's not directly debited from your account. It just allows you to store your banking information so it doesn't have to be re-entered every time. Another option would be a one-time payment through the same type of service, except that that's accessed directly from our website, and that does not store your banking information. You can also pay in person at the Maroon Financial Credit Union located here on campus. Another option would be domestic wire transfer, and there's also a foreign currency wire transfer option as well. All of this information is posted on our website, and it provides the detailed information that you would need in order to make a wire payment. Going back to third parties. Now, I don't know if anybody has a situation like that, but if you do, all that you would need to do is email us or call us or stop by our office. Essentially what we would need on our end in order to provide charge information to a third party would be an authorization letter from that third party agency outlining what they want to pay or what they're willing to pay. And going back to refunds, so in some cases, students are eligible for refunds. The way that those are given to the student is in one of 2 ways. If you sign up for a direct deposit, which we highly encourage, the process will be much faster. The other way would be a paper check that gets mailed to the student's local Chicago address, and there's a little bit more time involved with that. So again, electronic billing and direct deposit are 2 services, 2 tools that we offer that we hope you'll take advantage of.